Betty.
I am Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm Betty.
I'm
Betty.
I'm Betty.
Betty is 14 and fascinated by science. She's always excelled in her science classes at school, particularly biology. A couple of years ago, Watson and Crick discovered the double helix shape of DNA, which further intrigues Betty, and she considers becoming a scientist. Ultimately, she chooses another career path, but she learned enough to know she loves the idea of using information about biology for her own health care. So now Betty is 21 years old. Betty is married and will have children over the next 5 years. She stays at home with those children, but remains interested in science. Betty follows national news stories and keeps abreast of all the enormous advances in science, especially genetics, that happen over the course of her young life. Betty is 50. Her children are long moved out of the house, and Betty spends a lot of time participating in lifelong learning classes in Huntsville. It's through these classes that Betty learns about the Hudson Alpha Institute and the Biotech 101 courses offered to adults. Betty's passion for genetics and science is reignited as she learns about family risk factors for diseases including cancer. She decides to take full advantage of the preventive strategies she's been hearing about. To begin that process, she goes to the internet and the National Human Genome Research Institute website, where she downloads a family medical history tool. She makes some phone calls and puts together her family history. Betty wonders if these conditions might be relevant to her. Doctors detect a mutation in the BRCA1 gene. Betty's gene mutation makes her 15 to 60% more likely to develop ovarian cancer and 36 to 85% more likely to develop breast cancer. Betty's doctors find a spot of cancer on one of her ovaries. Thanks to Betty's active interest in her health and visit to Hudson Alpha, her ovarian cancer has been caught at stage 2 after a successful round of a standard treatment for ovarian cancer, and including participation in trials of Egen's experimental gene-based cancer therapeutic, EGEN-001, Betty should have a lower than 30% chance of recurrence. Well, how else could this story play out? Betty has lived a happy life with her children and grandchildren and has just celebrated her 53rd birthday when she starts to notice some slight abdominal and back pain. Betty attributes her condition to garden variety aches and pains. By the time she visits the doctor because of sharper abdominal pains, it is too late. Like 75% of women who are diagnosed with ovarian cancer, the disease has been discovered after the cancer has metastasized and is untreatable. Betty has less than 1 year to live. While she undergoes standard cancer treatments, including chemotherapy, Betty dies later that year. A gloomy ending for Betty without the Hudson Alpha Institute and other life-affirming organizations and physicians who help inform patients about genetic risk factors and surveillance plans. Betty is experiencing the fruits of a genomics revolution. The most exciting part about the Institute and the field as a whole, however, is the information Betty's granddaughter will have when she's Betty's age. Betty's granddaughter, named after her maternal grandmother, is 7 years old when her grandmother survives ovarian cancer. The ordeal makes a huge impression on her, and she grows up aware of her family history of cancer and is determined to remain vigilant about her personal health. As a high school student, Betty participates in the BioTrain internship program sponsored by Hudson Alpha and decides to pursue her interests in bioinformatics. By 2020, an 18-year-old Betty gets her genome sequenced, covered under her parents' insurance, for only $400. Because of the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act passed back in 2008, Betty is comfortable in having her genome sequenced. Betty meets with a genetically savvy physician and a nurse practitioner to go through her analysis. They detail a personal health plan based on Betty's genetic predispositions. And as a result, Betty's own cancer surveillance plan begins decades before her grandmother's did. This surveillance, in combination with a diet and exercise plan, continued throughout Betty's entire adult life. Betty is 45. A small spot is located on her ovary. But Betty's cancer is caught in stage 1 and treated by the same EGEN-001 of which her grandmother participated in trials. Thanks to her family's interest and her own in her health, as well as educational outreach by Hudson Alpha and advances in science, Betty is alive and well into the 22nd century. Betty is you. Betty is me. And Betty is our children and grandchildren.
Save Betty.
Save Betty.
Save Betty.
Save Betty.
Save Betty.